Good. So allow me to quickly introduce myself. My name is Albrecht Auersberg, and I serve as a business development professional at Pixofarm. You can find my contact details here, although I will show them again at the end of the presentation. Pixofarm is a smart farming company from Vienna, Austria. Our primary focus lies in yield monitoring and yield estimation for fruit growing, utilizing the capabilities of smartphones. So we think that our innovative approach sets us apart from the industry. And before joining Pixofarm, I gained experience working for traditional companies in agriculture, such as the BayWa in Munich and the Agrana in Vienna. However, I ultimately realized that smart farming offered a much more exciting and promising field. As you may be aware, numerous companies have emerged in this sector over the past few years, so it's really exciting to work here. And yeah, I've been with Pixofarm for almost 2 years now, and I'm really enthusiastic about showcasing Pixofarm and our technology in greater detail to you. So yeah, I really look forward to share this info with you. Okay, so a quick look at the agenda. First, I would like to introduce Pixofarm quickly to what or who is behind it, and then the modules and functions in our app. And finally, I will introduce you to a few practical examples. But I think if someone has understood what data can be produced with Pixofarm, they will think of many more or completely different use cases. But let's talk about more on that later. At the end, I will conclude the webinar with a Q&A session. So to the Q&A session, just click on this Q&A button you can see here in Zoom and just post your question. And if the question doesn't resolve itself in the course of the webinar, then I'll just answer the question at the end. Personally, we'll have a look at them and then I will answer them for you. And please don't be shy. There are really no stupid questions, and I'm happy to answer all of them at the end. So let's start with a short profile of Pixofarm so you know who you're dealing with. As I've said, we are a startup from Austria. We've been around since approximately 2019, and now we are already 16 people in the company. We are constantly growing and improving our services, so it rarely gets boring with us. So far, we have monitored more than 500 users and customers worldwide with Pixofarm. Hundreds of thousands of data points and images are also been uploaded, which obviously are the base for constantly developing and improving our system. Yeah, and here on the right to show off, as you can see, we have already won some awards, and of course that makes us quite proud as well. So let's provide a quick overview of the services available in the Pixofarm smartphone app. First, fruit sizing. You can easily measure fruit sizes and obtain data on average caliber sizes, size classes, and the growth rate of the fruit. The second one is fruit counting. You can capture the fruit load by photographing the trees with your smartphone camera, allowing you to obtain data on the average number of fruits per tree, the results per photographed tree, and the estimated total number of fruits in a plant. Third, it's yield estimation. So by combining fruit load detection and size measurement, the app offers a yield estimation service, providing valuable insights into the expected yields of your crop. And fourth, it's the youngest module, the harvest bin scan. With the harvest bin scan feature, you can simply take a picture with your smartphone camera of a full harvest bin, and the app will scan all the visible fruits and measure their sizes, providing useful information for monitoring the quality of your harvest. Yeah, these are the key services provided by Pixofarm, and we will delve now into details of each module in the presentation. So how can you actually use Pixofarm services, and when is the best time to utilize them? To answer these questions, we have created a seasonal overview to give you an idea of when Pixofarm becomes truly useful. So please note that this overview is focused on apples or palm fruit related scenarios, but the concept applies to other crops as well, I think. So the overview showcases all the different stages where Pixofarm can be employed. It starts with the initial fruit size measurement, which is typically done when the fruits are between 15 and 15 millimeters in size after flowering. This measurement can be used, for example, to monitor and control chemical thinning processes. Yeah. From there, the services expand to include fruit counting and fruit load monitoring, which can assist you in hand thinning after the fruit drop. And finally, Pixofarm allows for the convenient capturing of full harvest bins through photographs after the harvest is complete. So in essence, Pixofarm offers a range of functionalities that can be applied throughout the season, from spring to autumn. So I won't delve in too much detail here. I encourage you to explore the season calendar on our homepage if you're interested. But you can find that there and check it out again if you really want to see more details here. So what do you need to be able to work with Pixofarm? First of all, just a smartphone. And then if you're interested in the modules for size measurements and yield estimation, a Bluetooth caliper for all these size measurements is needed. Yeah. We don't sell these calipers ourselves. We have 2 brands that work with Pixofarm. You will get all of this information on the homepage, where and how you can order them, etc. So this is the only piece of equipment that you need to work with Pixofarm. And I would now like to briefly explain the basic structure for each measurement. So during development, it was really important to us that the whole thing is easy to use for everyone, even for the older users who may not be so good with the use of smartphones. So what you have to do is you have to register, you have to get your licenses, and then you just create a block or a plot you want to monitor in the system. And you can do that on your computer or on your smartphone. And then you can just get started by taking photos or measurements, and then you will get the results immediately. It's as simple as that. So now let's move on to the first detailed presentation of our modules. And now I want to show you how you can capture the fruit load with the smartphone camera. So I've prepared a short video here to show how to capture the fruit load with Pixofarm, as you can see in the right here in this smartphone. So you go in line to a representative tree, you take the photo, then you adjust the square to show Pixofarm where the canopy is, and you're done. Pixofarm will then count all the visible fruits within the square and will estimate all non-visible fruits from the back. Yeah. After this first step, I can photograph so many more trees and increase the sample extremely quickly. Yeah. And this only takes a few minutes. Most of the time, you must really estimate for walking around in the orchard. So what does Pixofarm do with this photo now? We can capture the visible fruits with a high degree of accuracy, and the invisible fruits are calculated by our models and algorithms. The user only has to provide some calibration information on the photo of the first tree so that Pixofarm really can adapt to the individual orchard. And what does that mean to calibrate? The only thing that the user needs to do with the first tree you're taking a photo of is you have to manually count these fruits. This is the so-called calibration step, so that we understand what is the actual fruit load of this tree, how many fruits are not visible, and we will use that as a reference for all of the other trees. If you're very professional, if you want to have more accurate data, you can even increase the number of reference trees. Yeah. And in the screenshot here on the left, you can also see what the results like in Pixofarm. You can see the average fruit load on all the trees that you've taken a picture of, the total number of fruits in the orchard. And you can also see the categories of fruit loads of the individual trees, where how many weak trees did you have, how many strong trees, etc. And here I've prepared an example of how Pixofarm recognizes the fruits in the left. We are already very good at not forgetting any fruit on a tree, not counting the fruits from the back rows, etc. So that's really the core of our technology, and we are really proud of our skills here. Yeah. And this data can then also be retrieved directly from each individual photo in the app or on the PC, and can be used for analysis. And you will then also be able to get pictures of your trees. You can have a look at them. And as I said, this is especially important for hand thinning of apples, but I will explain that a little bit later. Here on the right, you can see the individual results of one tree, where we show the fruit load estimation, the number of fruits that we detected, etc., which reference tree we used to calculate that, etc. It's all visible online. So now let's move on to fruit sizing. Very briefly, I would also like to show you how to measure fruit sizes with the caliper. This is the caliper again here, and what that looks like in the app. So it's quite simple. All you have to do is you connect the caliper to your mobile phone, like any other Bluetooth device. Then you open the app, you select a plot, and then you put the phone in your pocket and you start measuring the fruit sizes. And then all you have to do is really press a button on the caliper, and the fruit size will be sent to the app and data will be processed. Here I've prepared another video. Is when you start the measurement round, you usually have to give this measurement round a name. In this case, I was just using test. I would usually choose the date or something like that when I start a measurement round. And then when I submit, a list opens, and this is when I put my phone in my pocket. And then I take the caliper out, I go to the first fruits, and then I start measuring the fruit sizes. And here you can really see how quickly you can measure the fruit sizes in the orchard. It's really a straightforward process. You will hear a beep on your phone every time a size gets logged, and that's it. And once you submit, the results will be sent to the app, and you can also see here then the aggregated results of one measurement round. 43 apples sampled, the average size is 25 millimeters. And here you can see the size classes of your fruits again. So that's sizing. It's a fairly straightforward process. So yeah, and this is how the data looks like in the web app. When you did a few rounds of fruit sizing with the Pixofarm app, you can see this data. You can see how your fruits grow. You can see the sampling dates, the average size in a list, and then you can also see the growth rate. Here we have one date with a negative growth rate. I think that the user in this case did not sample enough fruits, and it was just one day after the first measurement round, so that probably the size did not change a lot, and he did not measure enough fruits. So I wanted to show that, to explain how important it is that the sample size matters. Yeah, so it's really important that you take at least 30 to 50 size measurements once you take the measurements, because then these kind of things are not happening. Yeah, so sample size is really important for the results at Pixofarm. Yeah. And once you've collected this fruit sizing data, you will be able to next season compare this data with the season before. You can check the fruits in an orchard and say, okay, how large were the fruits at this date? How large are they today? Then you can really make an estimation for the harvest outcome already. So speaking of harvest outcome, let's jump right into the yield estimation module. So in order to be able to estimate yields with Pixofarm, you have to record the fruit load, you have to count the fruits in the orchard, and also you have to take fruit size measurements with the caliper. So if I have now followed a special protocol, i.e. I've counted a certain number of trees and then measured a certain number of fruits throughout the season, Pixofarm can make a yield estimation for this block. Yeah. However, one measurement run is not enough for this. We usually recommend 4 sizing runs, and each of these sizing runs with an interval of 1 week. And then we can see a trend in fruit size development and better model the yield situation for a certain predetermined harvest time. And when estimating yields, however, we do not only look at the user measurements, but we also look at the individual theoretical growth behavior and weight behavior of the crop, as well as weather information, etc. Yeah, and for the location, this is also included in our calculation. And in the end, we estimate not only the harvest quantity, but also the average size. This is what we also estimate for a specific harvest date. And you can also see that here in the screenshot. What is the predicted harvest size? Yeah, what is the total estimated fruits? The yield estimation in tons, and when it was last updated. And on the next slide, you can see the yield estimation results and how they are presented in the web app. Yeah, as already mentioned, average size, total number of fruits, and estimated yield is predicted. Yeah, you will get the mean of the results, and depending on the quality of the collected data, also the statistical range, yeah, of these results. So below the average predicted fruit size, you will get a range where we predict the fruit size to be. And this is obviously larger if you are only collecting, for example, 10 fruit size measurements and you've taken a picture of one tree, which is nothing, then this range will be much larger. Yeah, you can see that here in a list as well. You can see which measurement rounds were selected when doing this calculation. Yeah, which batches were considered. You can remove them if you say the first round was a test or something like that, and then we will recalculate. So here you can really decide what data you want to choose for yield estimation. Yeah, and then once this data is created, you can export that stuff as well. Okay, finally, I would like to introduce you our youngest module, so to speak. We have just completed the development and we are really satisfied with the results that coming in from the first clients. Is the harvest bin scan. So in this case, the whole thing is again quite simple. I just need my smartphone. I take a picture of the full harvest bin, and Pixofarm takes the dimensions of the harvest bin as a reference to calculate the fruit size of all visible fruit. Yeah, in the screenshot, here you can see exactly what the results for a batch can look like. And here I photographed 2 bins for a test. 270 fruits were recognized by the system, so used as a sample and measured. And here I can come to an average fruit size of 66 millimeters over these 2 harvest bins. Yeah. So, and below in the diagram, you can see what classes, caliber classes these fruits are distributed. And yeah, with this module, for example, the packing house can collect initial size information before the goods are stored in the cold storage. And the individual fruit farmer can use this and also take photos directly in the orchard during the picking to check whether the right fruit sizes are picked. So this is especially useful when you're having several rounds of picking to check whether the right fruit sizes are picked. In addition, the user then receives an estimate, a pre-sorting of the goods, so to say, before they are stored, and in the cooperative, for example. Yeah. Otherwise, the producer usually only receives the sorting result after 1 year. So as I've said before, the user usually knows how he could use this data, but I'm sure that for everyone, there's something in there that can help to improve the bottom line or the results of the harvest or plan better, etc. So now I would like to show you how the Pixofarm results are presented online again and what possibilities you have to manage your organization in Pixofarm. So now let's take a look at the collected data and how this is presented in the web app again. I wanted to show that here corresponding to the bin scan data I've showed in the slide before. So on the left side, you can observe the aggregated results for the 2 bins that I've photographed during this test. These results provide like an overview of the collected data in a summarized form. And on the right-hand side, you have access to the individual pictures captured, along with the corresponding results for each picture. This allows for a more detailed examination of the data at a more granular level. Yeah? Furthermore, you have the option to add labels and notes to this data, which can be valuable, for example, for quality management purposes, among others, for example. And it's important to note that while this example showcases only the bin scan module, the presentation format remains consistent across all of the modules. For counting and sizing, this looks the same. Yeah, we will always have the aggregated result for a block. Then you will have the aggregated results for a measurement round. And then also you can have a look at the individual data. Next, let's quickly discuss the structures within the app. Our aim was really to create a highly flexible system that can accommodate any type of operation, ranging from small producers to complex cooperative structures. So with Pixofarm, you can really represent them all. It all begins with the creation of an organization, so which you may already be familiar if you have installed the app already. Sorry. In the simplest scenario, you can create blocks and start measuring them on your own. However, you also have the option to add users to your organization who can capture images in the same blocks. In Pixofarm's professional and enterprise packages, you can make these structures more intricate. Yeah, for instance, as an umbrella organization, you can establish sub-organizations that maintain separate data visibility. So the app allows you really to customize permissions according to your organization's specific requirements, providing a really truly tailored experience. And lastly, I'd like to mention the advisor function. So if you have a Pixofarm account, you can grant access to a consultant from an external consulting organization, for instance. The consultant can review the images and offer advice as needed. Yeah, importantly, there are no additional costs for either the user or the advisor to do that. Yeah. So I don't want to delve again too deeply into the details here during this presentation. I just encourage you to reach out to me directly. I will share my contact details in the end again, and we can discuss your company's needs individually and explore how Pixofarm can best serve you. That's also a good way of understanding how it works. So I want to quickly at the end of this webinar present some practical examples how Pixofarm can support. It's only going to be 4 case studies, but it's just a few more minutes. So the first case is logical. Save time with Pixofarm. All those smart producers who have understood how important it is to grasp the fruit load properly, or it's also clear that measuring the fruit sizes in order to take the right measures in the plant. With the Pixofarm app, I can take many more measurements in a much shorter time. So I can easily count 100 trees in an hour and 100 fruits and act according to this information. For example, when I'm out thinning. Yeah, as I said, this is especially true for those who are already doing these things with Pixofarm, can really save time and therefore money there. Yeah. So now let's move on to the next important topic. I mentioned it a few times. It's manual thinning or hand thinning. So if after June drop, the pome fruit is thinned out by hand, then the big fruit counting begins again. Yeah, we've made it our goal to support the fruit growers here so that they can easily and without much effort get their fruit counts. So we also aim to assist you in preventing the known situation where after a few weeks after thinning, there's an abundance of fruits still hanging on the trees and you have to start over again. Naturally, this ultimately results in a decline in the quality of the harvest towards the end of the season. And it's really easy to estimate fruit load before and after thinning out on individual trees and to train the picking staff properly. So we already have really good feedback from last season that users were able to do better than their neighbors, for example, by using Pixofarm and really have an accurate understanding of their fruit load. Yeah, here's a small excerpt of the results from the Pixofarm app. You can see nicely how the fruit load numbers were monitored around hand thinning. Yeah, I think for most of the users, this time passed already. It's too late for Northern Hemisphere. Maybe some of the users in more northern parts are still hand thinning, but you can see here, this user last year in June started with measurements. It was at 157 fruits. Then he said, okay, I wanted to reach like 100 approximately. Then 26th and 27, hand thinning started. Then he took measurements again on the 28th. He could see, okay, I reached 93, that's more or less good. He checked again 2 days later and 2 weeks later just to control, and he saw, okay, now I'm stable at 100 fruits per tree, and this is really where I want to be. There's no surprise anymore. And then in the end of the season, he could hopefully increase the quality outcome and therefore the sales outcome and the result. So this is really the aim how Pixofarm should support for manual thinning. Yeah, now I'm coming to the third case study, how monitoring growth rates with Pixofarm. This practical example may not resonate with everyone, as it may be more applicable to consultancies or cooperatives. But however, even as I've mentioned before, even small-scale producers can benefit from regularly measuring fruit sizes throughout the season. Yeah, and by doing so, they can not only implement specific measures in the orchard to enhance the quality, but also draw conclusions about future season outcomes by accumulating data over multiple years. I've mentioned it before. So the Pixofarm will offer the capability to store harvest information for each orchard, enabling users to compare current fruit sizes with past harvest results. And this really provides a valuable insight into the potential outcome of the current season and allows really for necessary adjustments in measures or harvest planning. Yeah, and that concludes the really significance of fruit size measurements. Here you can see how the growth rate is displayed again, the data points the user collected, the growth rate. This is still the old app, but you will see the same things in the new app as well, a little bit differently. So finally, a practical example on the subject of sales planning with Pixofarm. So this information becomes particularly relevant for individuals involved in direct marketing, auctions, cooperatives, export companies, or similar ventures. Yeah, in such cases, leveraging Pixofarm's yield estimates can offer really distinct advantages. We believe that our yield estimation method provides a more accurate alternative compared to traditional methods of estimation. And when you can be more confident in producing better results and more precise data, one can gain a competitive edge in the market and really outperform competition. For instance, if my crop estimate indicates the likelihood of for smaller fruits, for instance, I can take proactive step early on in the season to approach the right markets with much more confidence. Yeah, simultaneously having insights on the readiness or the ripeness of my fruits for harvest allows for improved planning of harvesting processes, efficient organization of harvest workers, for example, and proper arrangement of packaging materials, for example. There are numerous opportunities, so how you can use this data to optimize operations. We really believe that every user really can find value in these applications. Here I show again the yield estimation result presented by Pixofarm, the data points collected by the user, and the prediction of the growth curve, etc. So that brings me to the end of this webinar. Thank you to everyone who persevered and stayed until the end. In any case, I'm looking really forward to personal conversations. And if you're interested in going deeper, please feel free to contact me anytime. You can give me a call, you can write me on WhatsApp, write an email anytime. And yeah, as a gift for all of the participants here in this webinar, I want to offer a voucher code. Yeah, so this, if you enter this voucher code, webinar 0723, this is a 0 here, then you will get 20% off of any Pixofarm purchase. Yeah, this is only valid until next Friday, I think, or next Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday in a week. So if you want to use Pixofarm, you have a 1 week time to speak about that with me before this voucher runs out. So just feel free to reach out to me anytime. So finally, let's move on to the Q&A session. So I want to check out the questions that we are having already, and just feel free to post your questions now if you want to. Let's see what we have here. First question: could we use this for coffee and macadamia nuts? It's a very good first question. So unfortunately for coffee and macadamia nuts, we can't offer anything besides the sizing feature. I don't think that measuring fruit sizes for coffee makes a lot of sense. Maybe for macadamia nuts, because fruit sizing works with a Bluetooth caliper. Yeah, so any fruit that can be measured with the Bluetooth caliper, the sizes can be measured. However, fruit counting and yield estimation and the bin scan feature only works for apples. Yeah, so this is really the crop that we are focusing on. That's why I've got this beautiful picture here. It's our main crop. Yeah. However, fruit counting and fruit sizing also works for citrus fruits now. So there are several types and varieties of citrus fruits where you can use the fruit counting module by Pixofarm. But for all of the others, we still have to develop these features. But if you're interested in developing something together with us, again, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Next question: how do I get my caliper, and how much does the caliper cost? Good question. So you will find the information on the caliper online. If you go to the Pixofarm homepage, you will get any information you need about the caliper. It depends from where you order it. Again, there are two models. The companies are called Silvac and Dasqua. We are unfortunately not offering them ourselves, so it really depends where you're from. To give you an idea, in the European Union, the Dasqua caliper, including delivery cost, is at around 85 to 90 euros, I believe. Yeah, so it's not much, and it's really a handy tool. You can use it in other applications as well. It's not only a link to the Pixofarm app. You can use it anywhere, and it really helps you to collect fruit sizes in a digital and very fast way. And you will see, once you use this Bluetooth caliper to measure fruit sizes, it's really much faster, and you don't have to handle any paper anymore, write something down, enter it to Excel. I did not mention that yet as well. You can export all of the data that you create to Excel. So if you want to do something else, fill it into your ERP system or whatever you need, you can just export all the data you create to Excel. Each individual data point can be exported. So there's a lot of things that you can do there. Yeah. Next question: how does Pixofarm detect the invisible fruits on the back of a tree? I think I've mentioned it again. I've mentioned it in the presentation. So how are we doing that? You take a picture of the front side of the tree, and we estimate the fruits on the back side that we cannot see. So we are not detecting them, we are estimating them. And we do that by modeling this tree with our algorithms. And what the user needs to do, as I said, you need to calibrate your orchard so that we understand better how your trees look like. And how do you do that? You need to manually count one tree. This is important. The first tree that you take a picture of has to be counted manually in order for us to understand really the behavior and the look of the trees. So this is what you need to do in order for us to be able to do that, to detect the invisible fruits on the back of the tree. So we just got another question. Light exposure for taking trees, it's a good question. The light exposure for taking pictures, it's a good question. I hope I understand it correctly. The question is, so it's important that you don't have the sun in your face, for example, yeah, that you can't see the sun in the picture, yeah, or that it's not very early in the morning or very late in the evening where the light exposure is not good. So it's important that you do it during the day, yeah. To be honest, the perfect time to take pictures is when it's cloudy, yeah. But often you cannot decide that. So once you're in the orchard and you don't have the sun in your face, that's definitely good enough, yeah. I hope that question is answered more or less. So now we are not having any more questions. I suggest that I will stay a little bit longer in the webinar. So in case there are any other questions, just feel free to post them. I will answer them. I will stay for a few more minutes. Yeah, thank you very much for joining. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you personally, hopefully. So you can, yeah, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you out and to answer all the questions that you're having. And in the meantime, I wish you a good day and speak to you soon. Yeah. Goodbye.